Hey everybody, it's Barbara Ann. Welcome back to my channel, Straight Out of Context.
Can you explain what the relationship was like back then, maybe?
There wasn't a relationship. Ken saw a documentary and decided he was going to write her. You know why? Because he's turned on by either A, believing she's one of the worst trauma survivors that ever existed, or B, she's just a really evil murderer who took the lives of 3 people. And he was like, you know what? Yeah, I really want to just dip my stick in that. Yeah.
I just saw her documentary and it was just like really just like heart shattering. It was really sad to see what she had gone through.
And that turned you on, Ken? You actually thought, hey, I'm going to be the one to be the white knight, the knight in shining armor. I'm going to be the one to swoop in, take her from her husband, make her look even worse. No, be so for real right now. We know why you came back into her life. You came back into her life after she had a show, a book deal, 2 more shows and another book in the works, and decided you were going to come in and usurp her infamy and notoriety.
I had never written a letter to anyone in my life, but I just felt compelled to write her like a letter for compassion. We wrote back and forth for months.
Don't forget the part where you were engaged and then you broke her heart and you left her and then you spent a whole 5.5 years with a whole nother human being, a whole different woman who you supposedly lived with as well. Where was your compassion for her while she was in prison?
And then we just realized how much chemistry we have. And when I met her for the first time, it just started to go in that direction.
How did that relationship dissolve at that time?
Well, let's see. In 2018, she still had a lot of years left to serve in prison where she was because she took the life of her mother. And as a convicted murderer, Ken was probably like, not really much going on right now. And he only came back into her life after she was married, after she was released, after she had a 6-part docuseries that was pretty successful, after she had an entire ebook that was pretty successful. I don't think it takes much. 2 + 2 = 4 here.
When he broke up with me, I didn't know the reason.
The reason was you are a convicted murderer who was in prison. That is the reason. You did not offer him anything, and you did not have anything he wanted. The only thing he wants and is after now is your infamy and what he feels is some kind of celebrity and notoriety. But he certainly wasn't thinking about you and your persona or your public image or your reputation when he came in and forced you to commit adultery while you were married, got you pregnant, and then decided that he was just going to swoop in and be, the man of your dreams? And make no mistake, I know that Gypsy Rose Blanchard is equally as guilty, if not even more so.
I was left for 5 years without any sort of closure.
Girl, don't even play. You knew exactly what he was doing in that 5.5 years. He was shacking up with somebody else. Somebody that he was really in love with, somebody that he was really attracted to, somebody that he decided he would rather be with because they weren't in prison for killing their mom.
Okay. So I didn't know that his reasons were to help me grow as an individual.
Please tell me that she does not actually buy that excuse. Ken certainly did not. I love her so much, I'm just going to let her go. I love her so much. I had to let her find herself and be who she really is. Because if that was true, he would still be doing that after you were released from prison for killing your mom. He left because you were an inconvenience to his life, and he was not benefiting from the cameras, the news, the mainstream media, etc., at that time. Right now in time, Ken can actually say, oh, it's our lives with your TV show. And in some weird by proxy way, live vicariously through your infamy and your negative notoriety, pretending in some kind of way through you that he's some kind of public figure or celebrity.
I just thought he didn't love me anymore, and he left me. He dumped me.
He certainly didn't, because he left you. He dumped you. And not only did he leave you and dump you, he got with a whole nother woman for 5.5 years. Yeah. Yep. I wonder what she has to say about it all.
Okay, so the point in us meeting and working together potentially is to what?
Navigating how to properly communicate with each other's stress. Because I just don't want to corrupt your positivity if I'm having a bad day.
certainly doesn't sound like two people who are ready to be in a committed, exclusive relationship with one another. And they brought a whole baby. They made the choice to bring a whole baby into the world. And as far as stress goes, she's speaking solely about social media and how that is a problem in the relationship. Well, then just stay off of social media. It is that simple. And you don't want your bad days to have a negative impact on him and his positivity. Then that begs the question, why are you two even together then?
And don't see things in the most positive way.
Okay.
I don't like that. I'd rather you just be honest with me and just tell me
I'll
what's
always
going
be
on.
honest, but
Okay, so Gypsy Rose is a pessimist at heart. She is the glass is half empty kind of gal. And he skates completely over that and is like, no, I'd rather you just be honest with me. You know, some people are like that. Some people are cynical. They're pessimistic. That's just the way they are. They're not a glass is half full. It's the glass is half empty kind of perception. And if that's what she's speaking about, you should probably listen and not deflect to something about you, like how you just want her to be honest with you. You're not actually listening to what she's saying. Now, see, Ken, I expect you to treat Gypsy better. I don't expect me to treat her better. She's not my fiance. She's not my baby mama. She's not my live-in girlfriend. She's yours. So I expect better of you. At this point, I'm thinking she was better off with Ryan. Ryan was at least a decent dude in his core.
if I bring up a topic that maybe he's not interested in talking about at the time, he shuts down.
Can you give me an example of a hot button topic that might cause him to shut down?
The truth about how she manipulated somebody with level 2 autism and mental health issues and a mental disability into helping her take the life of her mother, how she threw him away in prison for the rest of his life, won't advocate for him, and his mother is no longer here because of all of this as well, or the truth of what she really did, the truth of the case, the truth of her crime, the truth of her continuous lies. Maybe that's one or two that I can think of.
And he has a harder time with it.
Okay.
I've been in it longer.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I totally disagree with what you just said. You think that I have a harder time with it? I think that you have a harder time with it. Your nose is always in your phone scrolling through comments. I don't even do that anymore.
He doesn't even do that anymore. What's funny is she's only 5 or 6 months pregnant. So they've only been together for 5 or 6 months at this point. And he's like, I don't do that anymore. I think you're the one that has the problem. Clearly, we know how she claps back at everybody and the way that she's always got to be so into her social media and all over the comments clapping back. We know she has a problem with anything anybody says that doesn't align with kissing her ass.
But at the same time, it's also a very new concept for me. 6 months ago, this was not my life at all. So I'm very new to this. And learning how to navigate this has been a process of my own that I'm trying to figure out.
Hey, you're the one that made that decision when you decided to impregnate her and decided to move all the way to Louisiana from Texas and decided to say, hey, Gypsy, whatever happens, we'll figure it out together. Yeah, we're in this together. And now you're going to sit there and try to be like, oh, this is such a hard thing for me because I'm trying to figure out how everything's gonna go and I'm trying to navigate this life as well. Oh, please spare me. Barf. 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 Ken, you knew exactly what you were doing. And you hopped all in when you impregnated her, knowing that she was married to Ryan Anderson at the time.
Okay, let's go back to communication. So when you try and communicate something that's stressful to him, you feel like he shuts down.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts on that?
Ken looks so embarrassed to be doing this on camera. He's like, this is not what I envisioned. This whole TV show and this newfound celebrity that I've just acquired by FUC Gypsy Rose Blanchard would bring me. But yeah, I didn't think it was going to lead to this. She's embarrassing me on national television by making me expose myself and who I really am. And how do I word around all of this so I don't look stupid? Too late, because he already looks stupid, no matter what side you believe. He's either FUC Kane, the worst trauma and abuse survivor that ever existed in American history, or he's FUC Kane, an evil woman who was 24 and manipulated a man with level 2 autism and mental health issues into taking the life of her mother for her. So she would get away scot-free. But either which way, you look stupid because you're F.U.C. Kane, a convicted murderer. Ken's face and his facial expressions are certainly betraying him. He thought he was going to come in, swoop Gypsy off of her feet, and be the man in control. Wrong. So wrong.
I don't feel like I do.
So when you say, okay, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
Okay, I think I know what you're talking about. We were talking about social media. We were talking about how, like, you're, you know, always upset that I'm, like, on my phone.
Hey, remember how not even 5 minutes ago he was saying he wrote her because he's seen a documentary about everything that she went through, and he just had so much sympathy and empathy and compassion for her. Well, apply that same logic here, Ken. When she sees that you left her for 5.5 years for another woman and you're picking up your phone all the time, what do you think she's going to think? Because either which way, she clearly has a lot of baggage, a lot of damage, and she's going to have a lot of trust issues. And you're not helping that. I'll keep saying it. She's not my friend. She's not my baby mama. I expect better of you, Ken. I really do.
I guess looking at stuff.
Oh yeah, when you're distracted, and I want us to have more real life time together.
Okay, Gypsy, you're pregnant with his whole entire baby. You guys are together 5 days out of 7. You basically live together. You're together all the time. What do you mean more in real life time? If Ken gives you any more of his in real life, real time, really, he's going to be devoid of any kind of characteristics or identity.
And then my response was like, every answer that I gave you would rebuttal it. Like, I'd be like, okay, well then I'll stop doing it. Well, you've said that before. Okay, well then I'll try and be more adamant about it this time. Well, I don't know if that's going to be true or not. And I was just like, well, I don't know what you want me to say.
That's really simple, Ken. She wants you to shut the fuck up and do what she's saying. She wants you to do what she's hinting at. She wants you to do what she's telling you to do, and not what you want to do. She wants you to be how she wants you to be. And you better listen to her. Otherwise, come season 3, there's going to be a whole different man in your place. And she ain't got no shortage of chomos that love to write to her.
Of answers. I've tried everything.
And then I don't want to talk about this anymore. And then her immediate reaction is click. And then silent for like an hour or 2.
Okay. Let's leave this topic where it is because I don't want to dive too deep into any one thing in our first session.
And our very last session, because after this, I'm going to completely change my office location and my phone number. And Ken should be very worried because when Gypsy gets that mad that she goes silent and does the whole I'm going to ignore you silent treatment thing, yeah, she's plotting something. And the last time she plotted something, we all know how that ended up.
Any other goals besides communication?
Yeah, Gypsy wants him to want her. She wants him to want to put a ring on it. She wants to know that she's wanted that much, that he wants to want to put a ring on it. She wants to have control. She wants to have more kids. She wants Ken to be what she wants Ken to be. I mean, at this point, I should be getting paid to be the therapist because I can do the job a hell of a lot quicker than this lady can. And she just looks like she wants out.
When he broke up with me and we separated, the belief that I had was that he left because the pressure of being with me as a public figure was too much.
She knows that that is a lie because in 2018, she certainly was not a public figure, and she's not a public figure today. She is a convicted murderer who took the life of her mother, who also used a man with level 2 autism and mental health issues to do her dirty work for her, to do her life sentence for her, to take all the blame for her. And she also caused so much damage to the victim's family that his own mother is no longer here because of it. Completely denying Nicholas Godejohn from the same family love and support and resources to utilize the same way she says that her daughter and her will all sit down full of family in a big loving circle. Yeah, Nick doesn't get that. Do you ever think about that? His own mother was so devastated and so distraught over the abuse and the trauma that she had to suffer and endure watching her son go through this. But to Gypsy Rose Blanchard, it's all about Gypsy Rose Blanchard and nothing else.
Okay.
So I am trying to protect him in a way that it doesn't become overwhelming and make him want to leave.
God forbid the day ever comes that Ken wants to leave Gypsy, because when that day happens, I really fear for his safety, and I really fear that Gypsy is going to do something horrible, horrendous, and that poor innocent child is going to get caught in the crosshairs of that.
That's always in the back of your mind and sort of like informing every decision you make. If I hold on, if I cling too much, maybe he'll leave. Or if I bring all my stress to, exactly, maybe he'll leave. Okay.
Remember that Gypsy once felt that way about Nicholas Godejohn. Remember that she was so in love with him, she was so obsessed with him, until she found out that he was across the hall telling the truth, nothing but the truth, and the whole truth. Then she completely flipped her script on him. But the only thing she's worried about is Ken leaving her, or Ken wanting to leave her. That's all you're concerned about? Say, I got pregnant to trap him, without saying I got pregnant to trap him. Because that's essentially what she's saying. That she's that obsessed with him. That she doesn't want him to leave her. All she thinks about all day and all night throughout her entire day is not being too clingy and not doing this, not being too controlling, because if she does, he's going to leave her. Again.
There are times that I feel really guilty.
For killing your mom? For putting Nicholas in prison for the rest of his life with your manipulation and lies? For his mother no longer being here?
Okay.
Just because, like, I know there's been a lot of change for him. And I feel like I haven't been sensitive to that.
Okay.
Because she knows she doesn't give a damn about Ken. She only gives a damn about what she wants, what she thinks, what she feels, and she wants Ken. She's insensitive because then she would have to humanize Ken, and then she'd have to humanize Nicholas Godejohn, and then she'd have to humanize Stephanie Goldhammer. She'd have to humanize Dee Blanchard. She'd have to humanize Ryan Anderson, and that is beyond the realm of possibility and her capacity to do so.
So, you know, I feel like I don't want to put him in any sort of like a negative headspace.
A negative headspace? He's already there, and he's going to stay there in a negative headspace. He not only decided to impregnate a married woman, but a convicted murderer.
And I don't want him to have resentment towards me for like how fast everything moved. Like I told him, I don't want him to stay because of the baby.
There's some element to truth here, because Gypsy only had that baby to control Ken. And then to say, oh, but I don't want you to stay. You're under no obligation to stay with me just because we have a baby together. No, that's exactly why she decided to have the baby and not get rid of it. She wasn't thinking about his rights or if he wanted that or not. She was thinking about, I want him to stay with me. How can I make that happen? How can I make it look like we're this happy family? She wants him to want her. She wants to know that he wants her and wants a family with her. Girl, you know he only wants your status. You cannot be that blind.
I want him to want this relationship to work.
Too late, because he already decided to get you pregnant and to follow through with that pregnancy. So he's there, isn't he? That should count for something, Gypsy. Whether or not he deeply inside does not want to be there, that's on him.
Hey everybody, I just want to say thank y'all for the support and
I have zero compassion, empathy, or sympathy for Ryan Anderson anymore, because he put himself in a place where he is just completely blinded by Gypsy as well. And I'll tell you what, that whole, you guys,
messages I've been getting from people. It's been great. I'm just living my life, guys. If you support me, follow me. I will post more stuff eventually. I'm just hanging in. I just want.
You know, I really did feel bad for Ryan at one point, but I don't now.
Everybody is human. Everybody makes mistakes.
Excuse me? Yeah, that is true. Everybody makes mistakes, but there's a difference between accidentally stepping on somebody's toe or accidentally misspelling a word and having to erase it, and actually planning, carrying out the murder of your mother, utilizing somebody with level 2 autism to do it for you, and attempting to take your mother's life twice yourself, a whole year and a half before you ever met that person.
As long as you learn from it, moving forward is always the best option.
You cannot move forward from a murder because you cannot bring somebody back from the dead. You cannot correct that. You cannot fix that. You cannot make amends for that.
I hope the viewers will take away from the series, don't judge a book by its cover.
People won't judge you for what you did, Gypsy, if you were to come forward and actually tell the truth. Tell the truth. Tell how you tried to take your mom's life twice before, way before you ever even met Nick. Tell the truth that you were walking around inside of that house, that you were very much a part of the grifting with your mother, that you were reported in your own medical records as telling doctors that you don't have feeling in your legs, how you would oftentimes talk back to your mom, how your mother was scared of you. How about starting with the truth? Then maybe we can revisit not judging a book by its cover. Because not only is your cover torn to shit, the inside of your book is even worse.
There's layers to people, just like there's layers to me, there's layers to my story.
This is a bullshit ass excuse. There is no layers to anybody, okay? There's who you are and who you are not. There are things that happened and things that did not happen. There are things that you are saying happened that didn't happen and things that you are not saying happened that really did happen. This is not an onion. There are no layers. There is fundamentally the truth, what really occurred, what really took place, and the lies.
And there's layers to my future.
You're going to be really disappointed and sad when you find out that your future is not yours. You now have a baby, and everything in your life is all about that baby. And being a parent does not stop at 18 years old. Just ask your dad about that.
Everything that they will see in the show is me finding myself.
That's what your show's about. That's the takeaway. It's about you finding yourself. You had 8.5 years in prison to find yourself. And you're pregnant with somebody's whole baby and then had somebody's whole baby, was married and divorced, and you're finding yourself. Maybe you should do that before all of those life-altering events.
It is very important for people to take away.
But that's not the takeaway. The takeaway is that she keeps creating all this self-made drama to continue the show and to have a reason to monetize her story when it's not about her story at all. She's not a public figure. She's not an advocate. She's not a celebrity. She's one of the most hated people in America because she took the life of her mom and then lied about her after she killed her in such a heinous way. She continues to lie about Nicholas Godejohn and call him things like a psychopath or a POS. And nobody is invested in Gypsy's future. Nobody cares to see Gypsy's future. If she wasn't rehabilitated and reformed in the 8.5 years she was in prison, then we have absolutely no confidence that our incarceration system works. It may have played out well in her favor, but it didn't for Nicholas Godejohn. It didn't for his family, for his brother, for his mom, for his stepdad, for his real father, or for Dee Dee Blanchard's family. We don't give plea deals to murderers. We don't give second chances to murderers. We don't give platforms to murderers. And that's just fundamentally the truth.
When viewers watch the show, they are going to be seeing a level of depth to my life that they wouldn't normally see otherwise.
Then what was Facebook for you? What was MySpace for you? What is Instagram and TikTok for you today, right? You're constantly putting your life out there for people to see because otherwise people don't care to ask or to know it. And you gotta feel like you are relevant in some kind of way. Girl, you took the life of your mom. You talk shit about Nicholas Godejohn every chance you get, like it makes you look better. It doesn't.
Viewers will hear about events that took place in my life, but they only know like half the story.
You heard it directly from the horse's mouth. We only know half the story. Well, I think we all know the real story. I mean, I'm just gonna say it plainly, but you gotta be as a box of motherfucking rocks to not know it.
Where the show actually follows the actual event as it's taking place.
Yeah, duh. We know that you're 5 months pregnant at the beginning of it, yet you had the whole baby back in December. We know that it was following you as the event was taking place, but it's not airing until months later.
Something that people don't know about me is I'm actually really sensitive.
Gypsy with her clapping back and constantly being snarky. You better watch it because she'll kill you. Yeah, she's really sensitive at heart. She likes long walks on the beach. She likes good eating skills, sparkling grape juice, and writing to chomos. Yeah.
My feelings get hurt really easy.
No, they don't. My comeback is the show proving her lies. Proving her lies. That's what your whole show is about? I thought you just said it's about your future and the layers of your story. Now you're saying your entire TV show that you are utilizing Lifetime and A&E Network just so you can clap back to Nina the beauty influencer. 3 episodes deep and she ain't done shit to prove any lies are false. Shit, Gypsy Rose can't even disprove her own lies, all right? That's what content creators are for.
I wish people would understand where I came from was not a good place.
Everybody comes from not a good place. In fact, a lot of us come from the worst of not really good places. And we still don't kill our parents, our rapists, or our abusers.
I made mistakes. I made wrong choices in my life.
She said this so often that at this point, all I want to hear from Gypsy Rose Blanchard is her say, yeah, so what? I fucking killed my mom. And what are you motherfuckers gonna ever do about it? Yeah, I did it. And so I just want to hear her actually admit she's a convicted murderer, that she did it. She's responsible. Because we all know she despised her mom. She hated her mom. And she does not regret what she did. Not at all. The same exact way we know she walked inside that house.
But I hope that they could recognize I didn't grow up a normal life.
You certainly didn't. You guys got to be on the news. You got to meet celebrities. You got money from charities, from celebrities. You got to go to all of these events, vacations, trips, gifts, electronics. You also got a house, 2 different vehicles. You got to go on all of these lavish, all expenses paid for vacations. And you're still doing the same exact thing now with Lifetime and A&E Network.
If I just had a little bit of grace from the public, I could grow to be the woman that I always should have been.
What about Nicholas Godejohn? What about his life? What about his future? What about grace for him? What about him growing to be the man that he should have always been? What about him having a family one day? What about him having a second chance and having freedom? Because he's a white man who has mental health issues. It's just, that's it, done and over, close the book on him forever, and he takes the blame for it all. Come hell or high water, there are millions of people out there who have children with autism, and there are millions of people out there who are going to see this for exactly what it is. Come hell or high water, Nicholas Godejohn will get a fair trial, will get his own freedom one day, and he will be able to tell his story. And when that day comes, Gypsy Rose Blanchard, you better pray. You better pray to God that it aligns with the lies you've been telling the public. Because being granted grace from the public and redemption is going to be the least of your problems.
A couple of my favorite moments so far has definitely been all the times that me and my dad have interacted with each other.
It's the family love and support, and how her and Aurora are very lucky and fortunate that they have this big family that is so supportive and so loving. It would have to be your dad, Gypsy, because we know your mom's not here and we know why.
Sharing in my pregnancy journey with him. So that kind of gave him the feeling that he gets to start over too. He wasn't able to be a part of my life growing up.
He wasn't able to be a part of Nicolette's life either. I'm not going to buy that narrative, especially when he raised Dylan and Mia perfectly fine. And to say that he wasn't able to be a part of your life like it's your mom's fault, like it somehow is the culpability and the blame of your mom that your dad decided to not be an active participant in your life. That falls on nobody else but him. Does he deserve a second chance for not being there for over 24 years? Sure, he didn't kill anybody. I would say, yeah, he does. He does deserve to have that chance to be a good grandfather. But in the same breath, he also knows that he's been on national television numerous times in the last 10 years. So I highly doubt that he would do anything to make himself intentionally look worse on national television. That's also why he never got into the story about Nicolette, you know, his whole other daughter, because at 17, he had 2 women pregnant and he just happened to marry your mom. And let's not even go into details about how your mother, Dee Dee Blanchard, and Christy Blanchard used to work together.
So at least he can be a part of my daughters.
And I genuinely do hope that he is an amazing grandfather to Aurora, because she is an innocent child who deserves that. Many of us, myself included, would give anything to have my grandparents back just for a day.
And her parents aren't, and she's just by herself. And a lot of people on the internet, they know her address. It's like almost public information.
And I wonder why that is. It couldn't possibly be because she was filming 3 whole Lifetime shows there, or doing promotional photographs like this one right in front of their house, you know, showing people exactly where her dad and stepmother live, or completely skate over the fact that Gypsy and her friend went by that particular person's work, according to what her own friend said on a live panel.
You just never know, like, how unhinged people are going to be.
How unhinged people can be. Okay, let's play devil's advocate here. Whether A, you believe Gypsy's story, or B, you do not. Let's see, what does it take for somebody to want to write to her while she's in prison and talk to her? It's either somebody who has a really inappropriate attraction to prisoners, or an inappropriate attraction to ABUSE trauma survivors. Either which are pretty bad, both. And let's completely ignore the fact that Gypsy and her friends and other people in her sphere by proxy oftentimes stalk, harass, dox, slander, cyberbully, body shame other people, especially if they are a content creator or just simple human being on social media who do not agree with Gypsy's lies or her story. Or let's look at this, how she was going to offer up her own child to Nicholas Godejohn when her child turned 13 years old. And let's not forget that Damona was almost 24 years old when she said this to Nicholas Godejohn about the daughter that they would have. Yeah. And do you want to talk about unhinged? This is unhinged. This is worse than taking the life of her mother. This is intentionally wanting to inflict harm on a 13-year-old child, her own child. Oh, and about that, let's rewind time and see what Gypsy said about that before.
That I don't want my baby to be in front of a camera. Unless it's for like home movies, I will not be putting my child in the media at all.
Why?
Yeah, she said she was not going to be putting her child in the media in front of the cameras at all for any reason, only for private home movies. She's even made multiple statements on her social media accounts and has even given statements to People Magazine and TMZ. Yet, she still did it because that baby is not only a way to keep Ken, it's a way to try to revive her reputation and to keep society interested. But I gotta say, you all were right when you said, watch, she's gonna show that baby before 3 months, she's gonna show it. Because not only is she incapable of keeping her word to protect her child and keep her out of the media, she doesn't even believe her own lies. She knows the truth, and she knows that we all know the truth too. And don't forget to subscribe, like, turn on notifications, and share.